We have entered winter. What does that mean for the crypto and stock world? Hey, this is CeoTrades, where money works for you. We're looking at investing, especially in crypto, as we take a look here at the crypto fear and greed index in the last 4 years. We can see where it has been throughout that time. We can see that its lows on average is 10, is where it's its lows. And on one day back in 2019, it hit 5. That's the lowest. That means that everybody's fearful of crypto, of investing in crypto, and they don't know what to do. Now we can see that on the high side, that on average, somewhere in the 60, 70-ish range is where it reaches the high, although there have been days that it's reached above 90, several. And right now, what can we get out of this? Number one is that right now we're currently at 10. The fear and greed index for today, June 3rd, 2022, is 10. That means that we're probably at the bottom, right? Well, these are some of the things that I want to let you know that I'm looking at. But before I let you know on that, I want to be clear. I am not your financial advisor. Always seek the assistance of a professional financial consultant so that you can make better and informed decisions on your investment practices. As we look at this chart, this is what I gather. If you want to invest, people always tend to invest when they're at the highest point. Where has this been? Somewhere above the 80s. People get excited and hear all the good news and the hype, and they want to invest up here. But now they're bag holders. They're caught up there at the top. I haven't invested at the top here. I have not. And the reason I haven't invested is because I know that it's going to drop eventually. I don't know exactly where the top is. I don't know exactly where the bottom is. But what I've done is, as I've told people, I've leveraged in, meaning that I might have bought at 36,000 Bitcoin or some other coin. I bought a little bit higher than I've wanted to. But now that it's at the bottom, it's good to get some leveraging in. You don't have to put it all in there if you think it's going to drop any further. However, these are some of the scenarios that I want to present with you today. Number one, people are stating that Bitcoin may drop to 14,000. It is currently at around 29,000, 30,000-ish, going up and down, right in that consolidation path. Let me see if I can get the chart here so you can see it much clearer. There we go. So you can see right there, it's been consolidating for several days now. It's at 29,800. So that's why it was at 31,000 3 days ago. Now, what can we tell? Can this fall to 14,000? Yes, it can. Because on average, in one of the videos that I will show you, I'm going to put the link right up here, right above on the left side. You'll be able to see the link for this video that shows you where Bitcoin has been and how much of a fall it has had in its history. It's fallen on average 80% or more several times throughout its 12-year, 13-year history. Now, during this time, there's a big difference that is happening now. In the last 12 years, there were very few whales and hedge funds involved in the crypto space. But now, banks are coming in, hedge funds are coming in, whales are coming in. And guess what? As people like you and me dump Bitcoin, they're grabbing it. And that's why it's leveraging out. It's consolidating right in here into the 29,000. But guess what? Eventually, there's not going to be enough crypto to go around. And right now that everybody's worried and fearful of Bitcoin, it's probably one of the better times to invest in it. I would dare say, I don't believe it's going to go down to 14,000 because 14,000 entails that everyone will sell their crypto, or not everyone, but many more people than have already sold will sell their crypto. But at the same time, a lot of these big millionaires, whether they're hedge funds, whales, or banks, are purchasing Bitcoin. They're holding on to this because they know the value of a very limited supply of a particular currency. And Bitcoin is a currency that is backed by people like you and me. However, people like you and me are starting to dump it. And what does that mean? That now the hedge funds are backing it, that now the banks are backing it. What is making it is that Bitcoin is not going to fluctuate rapidly. However, there's going to be a deeper demand for it amongst individuals, but the bigger people are holding it, those with more money. Number two is that eventually, if everyone accepted, if 100% of the people accepted Bitcoin throughout the world, Bitcoin would be valued somewhere at around 10 million a coin. That's according to MicroStrategy's Michael Saylor, who has given those numbers, and I'm certain that he found it from some other people, but that's the reality. If Bitcoin were to become the number one currency around the world and everything else would be dumped, 10 million per coin. But I would say don't even look that far. Look into 100,000 a coin. Look into 1,000,000 a coin. Don't those numbers sound better? And that's why I say grab a little at 29,000. If it drops a little more, grab a little more. I believe it's not going to drop much more than 25,000. It could drop more because of the statistical look at Bitcoin and what has happened, because it's dropped whenever it's had this type of circumstance. Bitcoin has dropped over 80% and it's not there yet. I believe that it's not going to go too much further down than 25,000. If it goes to that level, it's going to test it at least once more before it takes off, because it did go down to 26 right here on May 12th. You can see it there, barely. You can see it right on top of the volume that came in that day. And will we test that water again? When is it going to happen? I thought that today the feds were going to release that the unemployment numbers are down. However, they said that the unemployment numbers are actually up, which is confusing because there are companies holding out on hiring people, such as Coinbase announced today, Gemini announced today. These are major exchanges that people use, and they have paused hiring. They themselves have said that there's a winter coming in. And you can see that right here, just from this chart, that the movement is minimal compared to other days. It's only 51,000 volume today. And yesterday was probably around similar amount, 56,000. And then the day before was 103,000. But on average, when it was much higher, it was holding off into the 40-ish, 50,000-ish range. Each one of these candles composes a number of volume that was sold in that particular day. And the reality is that this is a good time, as people are fearful of investing, to invest. So the opposite is true, because when it reaches the top, then why would you buy up there? You're going to have to wait much longer than those who are down here. And if you haven't invested yet, I'd say look into these. But for me, I tend to look and leverage in down here. I'm still waiting. I probably will purchase a little bit on the weekend here because it's been holding off. Will it drop any more? That's the question. I tend to believe that it should drop to 25, 26,000 and test that again and then take off. And it'll probably take off before the stock market will, because that is the trend that seems to be going on. JP Morgan Chase just announced that they're going to be investing heavily into crypto. And guess what? They want in on the limited currency that is out there, 21 million. 21 million is not a lot. It is not a lot. Another piece of information that is floating out there is that there is possibly a ban on Bitcoin mining in New York. And if that legislation goes into passing, Bitcoin is going to become much more in demand. People are going to want it more. Believe it or not, negative news in favor of prohibiting a project such as Bitcoin will make it more valuable for us. That is just part of the reality. Another thing that's happening with Bitcoin is that as you begin to understand that picking up down at this level, leveraging in, it makes sense because eventually Bitcoin is going to go up much further. So if it's at 29,000 right now, can you imagine going up to 100,000? That's going to be worth 3 times or more its value. Can you imagine going it to 500,000? It's going to be worth 30 times or so more its value. Doesn't that make sense? Maybe 20 times or 15 times more its value. But that makes so much sense. And this coin right here is a hold for the long term. It's an investment for the longer term, because as more and more people realize the value of Bitcoin, the more it will rise, because the demand will go up, but there'll be less in circulation for the general public. And that's what the individual investors, as they are dumping their assets right now because of fear, those of us who are holding on to a dear life, because the reality is that the whole market is down. And you know, what do I do? Is stay positive and know that I'm going to make money because of the analysis that I've just presented to you. I know eventually it's going to be worth much more. I know eventually there are going to be many more people wanting to buy into Bitcoin, but it's going to be up in at another level. It's not going to be at this level. If it drops a little more, 25,000 would be about 20% drop. If it does test that again, I will purchase in more, and I'm holding out just in case it does drop more. Have I made a complete investment? Not yet, but I am waiting out to see if it does that, test that. It might just test it just like it did here. That tells me that I should set an alert to purchase at 25, 26,000, which I do. I have set an alert, and I plan to do more than that. Remember, if you want to invest in your bank account, why don't you invest in your knowledge account so that your money market account will grow multiplied?